Hello and welcome to another edition of Mr. Popper's Penguins with Mrs.Matuza. No special guest today. No one's around. So I figured I forgot to do yesterday's read aloud, so today I wanted to make sure I got it done in case anyone was waiting for it. So we left off last time where Greta had come to live with the Poppers. So they had two penguins who then had 10 babies. Yes, 10 babies. And to remind you, they were named... Hold on, let's find... He named them Nelson, Columbus, Louisa, Jenny, Scott, Magellan, Adelina, Isabella, Ferdinand, and Victoria. So, quite a few penguins. So this is chapter 13. It is called Money Worries. So you can only imagine how, remember Mr. Popper was only a house painter? And they said they barely had enough money to survive through the winter with just their poor little family of 4. And then now they are a family of 4 plus 12 penguins. So that's quite a bit of mouths to feed, right? All right, so chapter 13. There came a night, however, when Mrs. Popper, having put the children to bed, stopped Mr. Popper on his way to the cellar. "Papa," she said, "I must talk to you. Come down and sit." "Yes, my love," said Mr. Popper. "What is on your mind?" "Oh, Papa," she said, "I'm glad you're having such a nice vacation, and I must say it has been easier than usual to keep the place tidy with you down in the basement all the time. But what are we going to do for money?" "Why, what's the trouble?" asked Mr. Popper. "Well, of course, the penguins have to eat. But do you have any idea what the bills for all those live fish are? I'm sure I don't know how we're ever going to be able to pay for them. And the engineer who put in the freezing basement plant keeps ringing the doorbell and asking for his money." "Is our money all gone?" asked Mr. Popper quietly. "Practically all." "Of course, when it is gone, maybe we could eat the 12 penguins for a while." "No," said Mr. Popper. "You don't mean that." "Well, I suppose I don't. I really suppose I couldn't enjoy eating them, especially Greta and Isabella," said Mrs. Popper. "And it would break the children's hearts, too," said Mr. Popper. He sat there thoughtfully for quite a while. "I have an idea, Mama," he said at last. "Maybe we could sell them to someone, and then we could have a little money to live off of," said Mrs. Popper. "No," said Mrs. Popper. "I have a better idea. We will keep the penguins. Mama, have you heard of trained seals acting in the theaters?" "Well, of course I've heard of trained seals. I've even seen some once. They balance balls on the ends of their noses." "Very well, then," said Mr. Popper. "If there can be trained dogs and trained seals, well, why can't there be trained penguins?" Perhaps you are right, Papa." "Of course I'm right, and you can help me train the penguins." So the next day they had the piano moved down into the basement at one end of the ice rink. Mrs. Popper had not played the piano since she had married Mr. Popper, but with a little practice she soon began to remember some of the pieces she had forgotten. "What do these penguins like to do most?" said Mr. Popper. "Is to drill like an army, to watch Nelson and Columbus get in a fight with each other, and to climb up steps and toboggan down. So we will build our act around those tricks." "They don't seem to need any costumes anyway," said Mrs. Popper, looking at the droll little figures. "They already have their costume." So Mrs. Popper picked out 3 different tunes to play on the basement piano, one for each different kind of act. Soon the penguins knew, from hearing the music, just what to do. When they were supposed to parade like soldiers, Mrs. Popper played Schubert's Military March. When Nelson and Columbus were supposed to fight each other with their flippers, Mrs. Popper played Merry Widow Waltz. And when the penguins were supposed to climb and toboggan, Janie and Bill would drag out into the middle of the ice 2 portable step ladders and a board that Mr. Popper had used when he was decorating houses. Then Mrs. Popper would play a pretty descriptive piece called By the Brook. It was cold in the cellar, of course, so that Mrs. Popper had to learn how to play the piano with her gloves on. And by the end of January, Mr. Popper was sure the penguins were ready to appear in any theater in the country. So, what is his idea to make money? To do a trained penguin act. So, the next chapter is called Mr. Greenbaum. We'll see who that new character is going to be. And what do you think? Do you think the penguin acts are going to be successful? Would you pay to go watch penguins? I probably would. All right, well, think about that, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.